This is the Datacolor LightColor Meter. So Datacolor makes a lot of products for calibrating your display to print colors, or picking colors, or basically taking a picture with a little device of a color and matching it to a paint color. This is their first product for photography, basically measuring the luminance and color of light for photo shoots. So I was sent this to review for free. If you wanted to purchase it, it would cost you about $400. All right, so in the package here, we have a little specification sheet about some hazardous materials. Looks like everything's zero there. It includes a magnetic clip thing here. So there's a magnet that mounts on the back of this guy, and this guy will let you clip it into like clothing or a pocket. And it comes with 2 AAA batteries just to get you started. And there's also the quick instruction sheet, and it has the QR codes to get to the App Store or the Google Play Store to get the app that runs with this meter. So it comes with a little carrying case. It's kind of a semi-rigid, hard-sided carrying case, and you unzip it, and it has the device with a couple of accessories. So it has this little guy here for easily hand-holding the device. So there's the magnetic attachment point there. So if you're hooking it up to something metal, you can just snap it on, it'll stick to metal stuff. You can put this guy on, which is kind of the handle for carrying it around. It has a hole here for a lanyard. It also has a 1/4x20 socket there to put on a tripod or something like that. And then this guy was in the box, which is the kind of the clip, and you could mount it like on a shirt or a card or something like that. So this instruction card is in many different languages. This is the sum total of your English instructions. All right, so they say open the case to install the batteries, and there's 2 little places to put your finger and pull. And this guy is held on simply with magnets. So there's 2 magnets there, and there's a little clip here that clips in right in there. And then inside of this, there's a spot for your 2 AAA batteries. They provide you some. It says up to 40 hours of runtime for a pair, so you'll probably want to have a second pair with you eventually, but it's not like they run down super, super fast. All right, we then replace the lid. Enable Bluetooth on your mobile device, download and open the app, press the button on the corner of the device. So there's a button here, and when you press that button, I believe it's going to turn on and start trying to pair with your phone. All right, so this is the Datacolor LightColor app from Datacolor, rated E for everyone. It doesn't have any reviews yet. All right, so once you install the app, it wants to be able to find, connect to, and determine relative position of nearby devices. That's the Bluetooth connectivity, so I have to hit allow. And it says, wake up the LightColor meter. Before connecting, press the button on your LightColor meter. So I've already pressed the button, and it is flashing. Then you push connect, and it says, select the LightColor meter you're connecting to. It's found 1, which is correct. There's only 1 on the table. I hit the button. It doesn't have any serial number or anything, so if you had 2 of these, I don't know if they would give you different numbers or different names. And register your new device. Has a serial number, and you have to register information here. So optionally, you can check to subscribe to their newsletter. You can check to share the data with them about the light measurements you're making, so they can kind of improve the system. They also have a terms and conditions you have to agree to. They have a privacy policy you have to say you've read, and then you hit the register button. So in the app, you can get a user manual to download. So if you want this guy to update continuously, you turn on this monitor ambient slider, and then this guy here will be taking readings continuously, and as you change things around, it will automatically update your display. And there is a setting for how many samples per second you want to do. Ambient sample rate is by default 2 samples a second. You can go slower to like 5 seconds between samples, for example. I'm assuming the ambient monitoring takes a little more power than if you just monitor on request. Now there's also flash metering if you're trying to measure just the flash units. So if you want to monitor your strobes, you either have to enable the photocell trigger or enable the sync cord enable strobe metering. And there is a place right here to plug in a synchronization cord. So I'm going to be using the photocell trigger. So if we have this guy down here, it's measuring ambient, and it has a strobe, but the strobe currently says invalid because it hasn't measured anything yet. All right, there's this photocell trigger sensitivity. 10 is most sensitive, that's the default, and then 1 is very insensitive. So by default, there's this tile, which lets you go through everything. You can hit the plus button to add other tiles like color temp, and that will tell you just, hey, here's what the current color temperature is. They have something like brightness. And so right now it's 295 lux. All right, so I've set this guy to measure flash. You can see here the color temperature of the flash up there is 6,000 Kelvin, whereas ambient light is 3,500 Kelvin. And so if I wanted to fix that, I could take my ambient light here and I could adjust it. And get the color temperature of the ambient light as close as I can. This is 5,900, so not quite perfect. But now I have, 5,900 for ambient, 6,150 for the flash. So on this display, you can see, well, there's ambient. And if I fire off the flash, you can see there's the flash along that line. And this is just a different chart displaying similar information where you can see, there's the ambient and there's the flash. All right, so you can use this just as a generic exposure meter. Say, hey, I'm going to select 800 ISO, set an aperture, and it'll tell you, okay, with the current light, you want, 1/13 for your shutter speed. If I turn on a light here, I push the button to update, and now it says, hey, it's brighter now, 180 is your suggested shutter speed. Video cameras use a shutter angle. This is kind of left over from when they were spinning discs, but essentially it'll do the same thing in video camera mode, and you can change your frame rate and so forth. So if you're trying to match ambient color, you can say, hey, monitor the ambient, and it says, oh, look, ambient color is, 3,600 Kelvin. And then you have a light up here. You can say, well, I'm going to push this in, kind of point it, directly at this light. I turn on the light, and now this guy here is moved up to 6,000 Kelvin. So we're going to adjust the color temperature on the light to be super warm. That's a little too warm, that's 2,500. And so basically, there's 3,600 on the light. Turn off the light. You can say just general ambient, 3,400, 3,500. If I turn the light back on, it's 3,600. So it depends on how close you're trying to get it. There's 30, well, went a little low. All right, that's 3580 with the light on. Turn it off, and we're at 3540. So, pretty good color balance there. If you want to have fun measuring light levels, we're 190 some indoors. Take this thing outside in the shade, and we're at 5,000. Go out in the sun, we're at 78,000. All right, so this guy does what it's supposed to do, which is basically tell you how much light's coming in right now, what's the color temperature of the light. It will detect a flash or a strobe, and it can measure that separately from the ambient if you turn on flash monitoring. You can also plug in a strobe trigger right here, and then when you push the button, it'll trigger the strobe and measure it. So this guy is really useful if you're trying to get your color temperatures exactly in a particular setting, or just as a generic kind of exposure meter if your camera doesn't automatically do all that for you nowadays. It does not come with any calibration certificate. Given the price point, I expect this thing to be perfectly calibrated and always extremely accurate. There's no documentation that comes with it to prove that, but we'll just assume it is because it's from Datacolor and how much it costs. The app works pretty well. I had it freeze on me only one time while I was playing with it, and just rebooting things fixed that problem there. So if you're looking to do light and color temperature measurement, this guy definitely does it for you. It looks like it's pretty well thought out. I like the magnetic attachment point with the different accessories you can put on. Also, just the tripod mount. You can hang it from a lanyard if you want it to, somebody to wear it. The button triggers a reading, or you can turn the slider, just ambiently update every so often. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. I guess my only concern here is, that price point's kind of steep. So if you're going to be doing this a lot, setting up a lot of lighting, a lot of color balancing, you need a meter like this. But that is a steep price point for it. Now, before you go and pay $400 for this guy, you should know that online there's another company that sells what looks to be the exact same meter. Like the pictures show these exact same cells, and the only difference is the branding and what's embossed into the case here. So it's possible you can buy this exact same meter from a different company because it might be from a white box manufacturer in China. I can't tell for sure if it's exactly the same thing, and if the software is just as good, it might just be a cheap knockoff that's designed specifically to look exactly like it. But it's certainly possible that this is the higher cost version of the same product. So do a little research before you put down your full $400.